Hi folks, my name's Mick McLeod and I'm the current custodian of Gordon Smith number 23, built in Manchester and completed in December 1975. It was built for a local musician songwriter, Des Parton, who had written a hit single for Sweet Sensation, a British soul band. I think the song was called Sad Sweet Dreamer. He'd also sung on a version of a Stevie Wonder song, Isn't She Lonely, and had a hit with that. So he'd made a few bob and he wanted a Firebird. And Gibson made these guitars in 1965, or introduced them in 1965. They were only made for a couple of years and they really didn't make that many. They didn't sell particularly well. So they weren't actually reissued until 1991. I owned one of those 1991 Gibson Firebirds, and it was the first one I'd been able to get hold of. You know, they weren't that common over here, and so it's kind of understandable that Des would want to have one built, and especially as you can see, it's quite unusual. He's had it built to his own specifications with these neck inlays, which are quite stunning. It's a Gibson Firebird 5 copy, so it's got the pair of mini humbuckers, the vibrola bridge, and it's got some additions which Des obviously asked for. Here we've got a varitone part which clicks into different positions as a B.B. King type 335 would. Well, B.B. King always had a varitone on all his guitars actually, and I think a few other people use them. It's behind the cover obviously, but it's got lots of capacitors on it, let's put it that way, a switch, and it sort of obviously kills certain tones as you turn it around. So there you go, those monumental tuners made by Schaller, these ones are. And you can just about see the serial number there, but probably won't be able to read it. It's hard to get the light right. But yeah, there you go, look, it's number 23, it's upside down of course. As far as I'm aware, this is, I mean, it's certainly mahogany, but I would think that this is a Honduran mahogany, which was very popular with Gibson at that time, and other guitar makers of course, but you know, Gibson, that was their wood of choice. And yeah, so there it is. I'm not sure who actually made the humbuckers, whether they're Gordon Smith or there's no names on them obviously, and I've had them out. They're both coil tapped, so tapped or coil split, I'm not sure which is the same thing, you know, or whether they are the same thing. Honestly don't know, it's a thing for debate. Anyway, you can split either coil, and two tone controls of course, and the varitone. Normally the input jack would be here on a Gibson, so everything's laid out the same except they've moved the input jack onto the bout here. And the vibrola trem, although not as useful as a Strat trem, you know, it works and it's a bit of fun. The only downside I can really see is the lack of tension across the strings here. You know, it's something I'm pretty particular about actually, and some people like to wrap the strings over the tailpiece before they go over the bridge, which gives it quite a sort of flaccid feel, really, quite loose strung, and if you play particularly hard you'll hear them flapping about, you know. And it's the same at this end, and it's the reason why Gibson raked their headstock back as opposed to Fender with a dead straight. And on the Les Paul it's obviously a lot steeper. The more tension you get here and here, in my opinion, it works, especially if you're a physical player, like I say. And that's open to debate. Anyway, I'll give you a little demonstration. So I'm plugging into a Black Star practice combo. It's just a small ID core. Nothing fantastic, you know, quite cheap transistor amp. But I think you'll get the idea. On this guitar, the neck pickup is in the lower position and the bridge so and the bridge in the upper position, obviously the in between. So I'll try and play a little bit of Lynyrd Skynyrd for you. This is a song called I Know a Little. I actually played that on the wrong pickup, but I'm going to go at it again with a bridge pickup now, neck pickup now, and it'll give you a bit of an idea and the difference in tone. Well, the bigger the city, then the brighter the light. The bigger the dog, then the harder he bites. I don't know where you been last night, but I'm thinking, mama, you ain't doing right. I know a little about it. I know a little about it. I know a little about love, and baby, I can guess the rest. There you go, you get the idea. I'm no singer. Here's something a bit more familiar. I haven't played those songs for years, so sorry I'm being a bit clumsy. Johnny Winter. Johnny Winter played a song called Talk Is Cheap, mostly on that same sort of area pickup. Again, clumsy fingers. Here's another one. I'm going to switch to the bridge pickup. That neck pickup's tapped at the moment, by the way, so I've been playing that fairly clean. I'm going to switch to the bridge pickup, which is full humbucker, and this is Rock and Roll Hooch Coo. Anyway, again, Johnny, and another song that Johnny Winter's famous for is the Rolling Stones song Jumpin' Jack Flash, and Johnny played it down here, quite different to the way Keith Richards played it, so he was Yeah, so we get an idea of the tone. It's quite crisp. It's quite quite aggressive actually, you know, but it's not like a full humbucker. It's definitely somewhere in between. And something I've found with these mini humbuckers, in my opinion, they sound better played through a Fender type amp or something with 6L6 valves. I use a Mesa Boogie, and as opposed to EL34 Marshalls, which the full Gordon Smith humbucker I always think sounds better through a Marshall or a Blackstar, something with EL34 preamp valves, and something to main valves, something to consider. Yeah, this neck's wonderful on this guitar. Although I'm playing fairly poorly today, it's actually a very playable neck, and it's certainly great for lead, and you can get right up there, and it's slim, it's wide, it's got flat frets, it's just lovely. And Johnny Winter played a lot like Lynyrd Skynyrd on Firebird. He played a lot of triplets and stuff, so on Jumpin' Jack Flash, for instance, you know. Yeah, you get the idea. I wish I could play better. One last thing, the pickups on this are fairly microphonic, which is lovely actually. It's a lot of vintage guitars have got that slightly microphonic thing, and so when you're playing pinched harmonics for something like ZZ Top style, you know, they really come out well. And I'll just demonstrate a little bit. Yeah, sloppy, but there you go. Obviously through a booster pedal like a Tube Scream or something, that would come out much more. And it's just to show you really. And last but not least, the tremolo. Something I don't really use. I'm not a Strat man, I don't like them at all, sorry. But if I put that on the back onto the neck pickup, we'll put it in full humbucker this time, and try a little bit of Baby Please Don't Go. Try and find the right string. There you go. Once again, so a little bit of trem. That's all it's really good for, just a bit of a shake, you know. You can use it to help you with a bend. If you're not quite coming up to tone, just give that a pull, you know. Yeah, Yeah, like I say, I'm not a trem user, you know, I prefer a fixed bridge, and I really do prefer a proper tailpiece with, you know, I get quite physical on the guitar, and sometimes this kind of rings across here. But whatever, it's a lovely guitar, absolutely stunning, and I wouldn't change it. Why would you? Last but not least, the Veritone. I'll just quickly, so we'll just play it chordally. Incrementally you would probably barely notice that, but it's got more of a quacky sound now. Just back to the bridge again. I'll come back the way. If I just take that all the way from one side to the next, you'll really notice a difference then. Yeah, so somewhere in the middle. Yeah, where are we? Yep, getting carried away now. Okay, thanks for looking, and I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.